2024 Mustang has been a major sales flop for Ford, and today we're going to talk about 3 different reasons why the S650 Mustang just isn't that successful. Hey guys, welcome to Red 50. Thank you for tuning into another video. If you're new to the channel, thank you for stopping by. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you miss out on future videos. Alright, so let's talk about the 2024 Mustang sales numbers and why they're very disappointing, and 3 reasons what's really causing the sales numbers to just kind of plummet. So let's dive right into the numbers. So 2024 Mustang sold about 49,000 units, and just talking about the units itself, you might think that's a good thing, but wait till we talk about the comparison, because numbers are no good until you can kind of compare it and really get an idea. So if you look at 2005 Mustang, which the first year for the S197 generation, it sold 160,000 units, which is crazy. And now if you look at the S550 Mustang, it sold in 2015, it sold about 120,000 units. So you can kind of see the first generation, or the first year of the new generation, really has the sales spikes. And even though and then of course, then it just declines from there a little bit. But you know, the first year is bound to see a major spike because everyone's anticipating the Mustang, everyone's anticipating the new generation, refreshed body, new features and everything. So that makes sense. But for 2024, Ford sold only 49,000 units. And just to compare a little bit, in 2023, which was the last year of the S550 Mustang, which is what I have, it sold 47,000 units. So in comparison, it sold pretty much the same without any sales spike that you would kind of expect it for the first model of the new generation, which is really sad in terms of where Ford is heading. So I have my theory. There's 3 different reasons why this is happening, why Ford's sales are kind of not what, you know, they would have hoped with the S650 Mustang, and why it's just not a sales success that we would have hoped it for it to be. The first thing is pretty obvious. I personally think it was a lazy refresh. This is the S550 Mustang, the refresh model, and this is, you know, still the S550, but the S650 Mustang was supposed to have the 7th generation, complete revamped body and everything, but it just feels like a refresh. Still got the Coyote motor, Gen 4, with the 10-speed. Sure, the interior looks a lot better, but other than that, it's not much different than the S550 Mustang. A lot of people I know went with the 2022 or 2023 model that were waiting on the 7th generation, because once it was announced, they said it was pretty much the same car. If you look at the 2015 through 2017 Mustang and look at mine, the refresh model, it's different enough where you can tell it apart. It's got, you know, the interior looks a little bit nicer. You got dealer's dash, the 10-speed was introduced, the Gen 3 Coyote was introduced. All of that is good news, but for the 2024 model, they pretty much did the exact same thing. The interior was refined. You have some fancy screens. You still got the 10-speed transmission. You got now Gen 4 Coyote, making a little bit more horsepower than it did before, but otherwise, it's pretty much the same car. And I was really looking forward to buying the S650 Mustang, but once it was launched, once I got to find out the specs, I just didn't think it was enough to kind of convince me to sell this car and then get an S650 Mustang, because I would have been more or less driving the same car aside from a little bit newer interior technology. And I know screens are hit or miss, but they're in trend. So I think Ford went right over there with introducing screens. It makes the interior look a little bit more modern. But again, mechanically, like, you're not buying the Mustang for the interior. You're buying the Mustang for the 10-speed. You're buying the Mustang for the power, the modification, all of that stuff. And to me, that was pretty much more or less the same car than this one. It just felt like a refresh, and to pay that much money for a refresh just doesn't make sense. Which brings me to number 2, and that is the pricing of the Mustang. I have the 2019 Mustang GT right behind me. I bought it brand new. This is pretty much fully loaded aside from having the performance pack. It's got 401A package, black accent package, active exhaust, and pretty much everything you would expect your Mustang to have. And this was MSRP for $45,000 compared to the base GT in 2025 is $47,000. So $2,000 more for getting a base Mustang compared to a fully loaded Mustang, which to me is just crazy. Even the 2024, the base Mustang was like $44,000. I could not wrap my mind around paying almost the same amount of money for getting a base car versus a fully loaded one. It just, and a lot of people kind of went through the same decision tree where you're better off buying a 2022 or 2023 used Mustang than paying $46,000 for a base Mustang GT. And don't get me wrong, the base Mustang is a pretty good value because of the fancy screens and everything, but still, in the end, it's the base Mustang with cloth seats and everything, and no one wants to get a cloth seat Mustang when you're paying 45 grand. And as I mentioned, in 2025, they went up even more. Now it's $47,000. So if I was to get a similarly equipped Mustang GT for 2025, it would set me back 60 grand. And that is without the performance pack, without Magnerite and all of that good stuff. So if I just want 401A, active exhaust, black accent package, 10-speed automatic transmission car, pretty much how I have this car, it's gonna be almost like 15 grand more than what I paid for this, and that to me is just not worth it. I know cars have gotten expensive since, you know, the whole thing, but that kind of pricing is just insane to be paying almost 60 grand for a Mustang GT Premium with the 401A package, active exhaust, and all that good stuff, where you could get this for 45, and now the base one is $47,000 with the 10-speed transmission with the stick shift. So if you want to get a 10-speed, you actually have to pay $1,500 more to get that, which just doesn't make sense. The pricing is just out of, you know, it's just not competitive. Mustang was known for being an affordable performance car, but nowadays that's not the case anymore. Which I think brings me to the last point, which is Mustangs are supposed to be a performance car, and when you're typically getting a Mustang or you're typically getting any performance car, you want to modify it. You want to be able to change up things, you want to be able to tune it, make more power. And unfortunately, the S650 Mustangs just cannot be tuned, at least yet, but they cannot be tuned, which takes away the whole fun of like having a Mustang, having a muscle car, performance car, and tune it up however you want it to be. Now, I know they keep saying that the tuning will be available eventually, but right now there is no tuning available, which is pushing more and more people to hold off on the S650 Mustang or get the S550 Mustang, which means the sales are going to plummet even more, because even if the tuning is unlocked and someone just bought a 22 or 23 Mustang, they're not going to want to trade it in to get the same Mustang, the S650, which is not much of an upgrade to begin with. Mine has 460 horsepower. That one makes 486 with the active exhaust. So there's 26 power difference, but just with a tune and maybe an intake, I'm covering that. So unless you're talking about, you know, big mods like supercharger turbos, it's pretty much the same car in terms of performance. Now you could get a Whipple kit and get, you know, their base file, and those are good, but typically when you are going boost route, you want to be able to get a custom tune from any of the reputable tuners. And even if you're not doing boost, you want to be able to run E85, which is really good on Gen 3 Coyotes. I'm sure it will be amazing on Gen 4 Coyote. There's just no way to do that because ECU is locked, and we just don't know how long it's going to be. Corvette C8 was the same thing. It took about 2 to 3 years to really unlock the ECU, and they were very pricey in terms of the tuning. So I'm hoping it's going to be unlocked soon, but that is one of the major holdback for S650. There's no tuning involved. So if you are someone who want to extensively modify your Mustang, you're pretty much out of luck, because the ECU is locked and there's nothing you can do about it besides just sticking with a stock tune, or you go Whipple or something and rely on their tune instead of custom tuning. But yeah, guys, that's what I think. S650 Mustang has been somewhat of a sales flop, not as successful as we would have hoped it to be compared to like previous generation, the S550, the S197. And don't get me wrong, I'm a Mustang enthusiast. I would have loved for it to succeed. I would have loved to trade this car and get another S650 Race Red, but the numbers and the performance just doesn't make that much sense, because there is just not much difference compared to this one. And the pricing, even if the tuning gets unlocked, the pricing is just absurd. Like I was saying, it's like 12 to 15 grand more to get a similarly equipped car, and that's where you kind of, you know, the numbers just don't make sense when I can just build this car, supercharge it, and put that money towards S550 platform and then S650 Mustang. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment below, what do you think about the S650 Mustang? And of course, subscribe to Red 50 for more videos.